Good evening. I'd like to call to order the board meeting of the West Bend Community Library for Tuesday, May 21st. May we stand to say the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I would like to call for a motion to approve the consent agenda, which includes the regular board meeting minutes from last month and also the library expenditures. May I have a motion? We need a motion and a second. Motion?
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Now we can have discussion.
Okay. I just need to make a correction to the vouchers for Rescue Dog Technologies. Is not 149,000. It is 49,169.18. That also impacts the bottom line. There was an extra 100,000 typo in there, so that's 83,000 in the total for the vouchers. 8,601.79. Exactly.
So she just put an extra one on the front.
Yeah, just a miskeyed.
Are there any other questions regarding the board meeting minutes or the expenditures? If not, Karen, you motion, can you change your motion to include it to?
Change my motion to amend the correct the expenditures for Rescue Dog Technology to $49,169.18.
And you second, Jess?
Yep, I second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda with the changes specified. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay. We'll do the financial reports. Joseph?
All right, so there were quite a few checks that came in. The list was actually pretty big, so I didn't have a chance to split them all out on there. But we did receive in total $2,100 worth of checks.
Do you think Lori could handle that, a monthly thing, so then Joseph wouldn't have to do that?
She'll separate things out.
It could just be an attachment to this saying who the various deposits were, and I guess my reason for asking that is that we can then thank the people who we've gotten donations from, the acknowledgements. Because right now we have an acknowledgement from Diane Thomas, a $200 deposit, and from Kimberly Wegland, a $200. Oh, that was for the teen program. That was a written check. But for Diane Thomas, a $200 donation to the library. And this way, if we get them listed, we can specifically thank each one of them. They get a letter of thanks from the library. That happens automatically, not automatically, we have someone doing that. But this way, it's a public acknowledgement. So if she could go back and do last month, then Joseph, that'll just kind of save you some of the effort.
Right,
Okay. Okay, let's see. Are there any other pieces of information, Joe?
that was about it, and then the interest income.
Okay. It was only 5 cents again.
Well,
Oh, that's
yeah,
the
that's on
elite
the
checking.
that's on
70.10.
the Yeah.
Yes, it's, wow, it's kind of neat. You could buy at least one book.
Almost
A big book, yes. Okay. All right, next month, in regards to the finances, we should have the information from the city on the city audit. Brett, you're familiar with those. It's kind of late, isn't it? We used to get that information like in March, April, or May. You don't remember?
No, I don't.
Okay.
I can find out for you.
A task.
Cool.
Wonderful, thank you.
Oh, I had to do that, didn't I? Okay, I'll find out for you.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, moving on to our favorite subject, election of officers. Okay. Do we have any nominations for president, or would anyone like to be president?
I'll look down.
Oh,
It's like if
Okay.
the teacher asks for somebody.
yes, and everybody turns away.
Don't look at me.
Okay. I don't have a problem if someone would want to nominate and second me. I would be glad to continue one more year.
I nominate Deb for president.
Thank you.
I second.
Okay. Brett? You wanted-
No, I was gonna,
Okay.
I
And,
concur.
and technically, what we're supposed to do is ask 3 times or 2 more times. Are there any other more nominations for president? Going once, going. Are there any other nominations for president? If not, we have a nomination. All in favor of electing Deb Bartnikowski as president, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? I'm surprised Steve didn't say something.
I have no power here.
Okay, vice president. We need to have a vice president. Karen is our current vice president.
I can say it's just as good, no.
I'll nominate Karen.
Okay, we have a nomination. Second?
I'll second.
We have a nomination, a second. Okay, are there any other nominations for vice president? If you didn't hear me, are there any?
At least you're hearing one out.
I don't know. It's really funny how the rules of Robert are.
Yeah, it's like,
That's okay.
Yeah.
in case someone came late to the meeting.
Yes, okay. We have a motion to elect Karen Wackles as vice president of the library board. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Treasurer.
We don't know what else.
Treasurer. Do we have any nominations for treasurer? Or is anybody deeply interested in that position?
I'm treasurer is a different group.
We want to have 2
No,
positions?
it's not a different board, right?
So we should nominate our current treasurer.
I nominate Joseph for treasurer.
Yes.
There we go.
Okay, we have a nomination. Do we have a second?
I second.
Okay. Are there any other nominees for treasurer? Are there any other nominees for treasurer? If not, we have a nomination for Joseph to become, to continue on as treasurer. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
We should nominate Jay.
No.
Yeah, right?
Thank you, no, thank you.
Okay. Last but not least, we need to have a secretary.
I'm okay staying on. Brad does most of the work. I just check with the minutes. I just review the
Okay.
minutes.
So,
I'll make a nomination for Brad to be, secretary.
What's the monetary compensation of that?
same as the other stuff you have to do.
Right.
We have a nomination for secretary. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, we have a nomination and a second. Is anyone, are there any other nominees for secretary? Are there any other nominees for secretary? Okay. Then Katie's name has been put in for secretary. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. You know, and you can't do it an easy way just to keep people, you know, to do it as a one-time thing. You gotta do each one individually, which is fine.
Yeah.
Robert's had his reasons, I guess. Okay. Mr. Steve, it's your.
Tim showed up.
Oh!
Hi, Tim.
Right after
wait a minute. I take all my nominations back.
Tell him he just he was just
Right,
nominated.
yes. Congratulations, Tim. Congratulations.
That's what happens when you know.
Okay. Oh, Steve, you have a skull on your face. We're letting this meeting get out of
No record breaking today, I can tell you. But that's election of officers, I guess it takes a little time. All right. I have a couple extras to add. Soon is going to be budget time, so we're going to talk about budget priorities. So I'll pass these around actually and talk about some of the things on there. And I think the board should probably have some thoughts on this as well. So these are just my thoughts, and I kind of prioritized them, numbered them. Some of these things might happen if we were to get our flexible facilities grant, so we wouldn't have to worry about them anymore. But the top priority is building maintenance, which is my top priority every year. It seems that buildings, when you first build a building, you don't worry about building maintenance so much because it doesn't cost anything to do that. First 3 to 5 years, and then after that, it starts costing more and more each year. And we're at 24 years now, so those costs seem to keep climbing. So we did take care of the, if you look around the library, all the loose brick and stuff, it looks a lot better and a lot safer to operate around here. We investigated the foam that was coming up around the outside of the building. That foam is not doing anything for us, so we started removing some of that foam, and whenever we get a chance, it's just sitting on top of the soil. I don't know if it had a purpose at any point, but it's no longer serving any purpose. It's just, yeah.
So green slime?
Yeah. Well, it does have green slime on it, but it's just the foam is actually a styrofoam. It looks like it was probably used to pour the initial foundation and just left in place, is what it appears to be.
Interesting.
Because how they, at one point, used to pour foundations, they put foam around and pour the foundation, and then the foam would stay
See,
there.
I was thinking it was the liquid foam, not the foam.
No, it's just a foam insulation.
Okay.
So there's a lot of things to address yet that some of the flexible facilities grant, if we get it, can address, but otherwise we'll have to keep working on building maintenance.
Well,
It will be a continuing expense no matter what.
We had the roof, so that we're okay with that. How is our furnace?
Our HVAC system, the complete HVAC system is in the CIP for 5 years from now, I believe. And we may have a compressor issue again.
Okay.
Should be under warranty. The person who came to look at the HVAC unit upstairs said that there was some leaking from the valves of our refrigerant, which is no longer produced. So we'll have to find more refrigerant and fix those valves if we're going to keep it operational. So again, if the flexible facilities grant comes through and we have all kinds of money, we might be able to take care of replacing the AC unit in that potentially.
But that isn't a wish list kind of thing. It's, if it goes, we.
If it goes, it goes, and it's a $1 million project for the HVAC.
Okay, so it's a million. Awesome.
The next item I have is the staffing. So we've been looking at our needs, and right now we currently don't have the youth desk staffed fully. So to meet the library hours, we need a half FTE for that position.
Is that in our current budget?
It's not in our current budget.
Okay. But it's due to the fact that we have our growing customer base, I would say.
I would say there's a demand for it. Our staff is very engaged in programming, and this is a position where we didn't have that desk fully staffed in the past. As it stands right now, we do rely on that desk as a backup for circulation. As far as safety is concerned, not to do circulation, but to provide backup if there's a situation at circulation, which has been a concern as of recently, and people seem to be getting a little bit more angsty. So it's probably good to have somebody at that desk most times, so that there's an extra body there. But
What would you recommend that we try and hire?
well, I think we need to figure out what our priorities are for staffing. That's one position that I think is a concern. The other thing that I've known since I got here is we only have one person upstairs at any given time.
That's a
If a
concern.
situation
Yeah.
happens in the upstairs of the library, one person is not enough to handle something. So thankfully we have good people in the library typically that will help out if something occurs, but that we did have a confrontation last month that our library staff member got between two people that were in an argument, and that's not a good place to be, and it doesn't allow you to call the police if you're standing between two people that are acting aggressively towards each other. So we did talk to that staff person and said just call right away, you don't get involved at all. But it's a concern that this could happen again, and it's a reaction. It's a normal reaction for some people to say, I can solve this problem, or it doesn't look that bad, I'll get involved right now, and then it gets worse too quickly. So
Okay, and are those the only two right now that you're looking at, or?
those are the two key positions that I think would improve the safety at the library. And then the other person that, and that would require 2 FTEs equivalent. There's no way we're going to get all these people in one budget year, but it's going to be a priority moving forward. So the other interest was that the city clerk has realized how much notarizing we did here.
No. So now they're looking to get us back into the notary.
I think we should be back in the notary business, and I think that that's would require a budgetary adjustment for that position. In the past, it got out of hand again, where one person did all the notarizing. Whenever they were here, and people could walk in and get things notarized. Whatever it was notarized, no equipment necessary. I don't think that that was very good for us. I think that was, I mean, it was really great for people who needed something notarized for free at the library. We don't charge for anything, so if we're going to do it, we need to require appointments, and we need to say specific hours is when we do notarizing. And these are the types of things that we notarize. We don't notarize things that require lengthy process, like hours worth of time. It's going to have to be something simple.
Now, has the city also always notarized?
The city clerk has always been a notary, and their department has always been notarizing.
Okay.
I think what we see is banks used to do this without a problem, or financial institutions, no issue. You walk in, any bank would do it for you, whether or not you have an account there. Now it's less available, and actually a lot of people are doing their banking online, and they don't have a bank in town to use, or I shouldn't say bank, financial institution. You have to ferry the credit unions.
So the city, did they approach you on that?
They did.
Okay, and did they give you any information as to the amount of time that they had their notary has increased?
They did not say how much time they've spent on notarizing, but they have said it's a lot of work. And that's because we send people there.
Who used to come here, yeah.
So if they did a time study, that would be helpful in saying this is the budget we would need to support this much notarizing work at the library, I think.
Okay, that's good.
So, but it was very,
See, it's one of those little things that the world never sees we do.
Yes.
It's
Right.
one of those silent things that the library had been doing for our citizens and people. And that's so.
And it's a great service, but it's not without cost to us as far as our staff is
Oh,
concerned.
exactly, just like the city. It's not, it is taking time from them. Okay, anything else in regards to
That's as far as
staffing?
it for staffing.
Could I ask you to maybe briefly put together a little paper for next time talking about these positions and stuff?
Sure.
And we could see if there is anything. I know we can't, how can I say this? You can't take limited funds of money to hire someone in a position,
Right.
taking money that's not in the budget. But it could be one of the things where we could offset it for a portion of this year and then put it in next year's budget. So there are some things, but again, you would have to look at your staffing and determine what you need.
I'd have to make sure that the city was on board with that plan, because I wouldn't want to hire somebody and then it's not
No, I understand,
holding the
I
bag.
understand.
So that would,
But if you can put together your little position paper and maybe then present that to the city as a reasoning, I think the safety reason for upstairs, you could, the youth desk, now we moved the youth books, where are they? Are they upstairs now?
the young adult books are upstairs, the youth books are still downstairs.
Okay,
So,
okay.
children's.
Children's as opposed to youth, so
This
you're,
is young adult. It's a strange term, young adult or teen collection is now upstairs.
okay, so youth is more children, what you're looking at.
Yeah.
And the youth desk is on the end of the circulation desk.
Yes, that's where Amber is, right?
Yeah. As far as priority goes, I think staffing some more upstairs is probably the biggest priority, is having somebody up there for times when, especially when we're more busy. But honestly, things happen at all hours in the library.
Right.
Yeah, so-
But I think, to make the case to have at least 2 people upstairs is good. And I have personally observed the youth desk in the past week, because I was sitting there, and yeah, the people do like that desk, and the kids do like it. I mean, the way they handle. Oh, they just, those little kids come and they check their books out, and it's like, so it is something,
Yeah.
so.
It's I think it's more needed, the youth desk there's more of demand for somebody there during the summer because of the summer reading program, for sure. But I think both of them are safety issues, really. It's,
How is our volunteer stuff going? Are we getting volunteers?
we are still getting volunteers. We've got great volunteers. We would not be able to run this library without the volunteers that we have at the financial support that we have. We wouldn't be able to do
I
it.
thought the report, the staff report showed how many hours, and it came out to like 8 full employees or something
Yeah, I
like
think
that.
so.
Wow.
And these are quality volunteers. Hopefully we keep them forever. Unfortunately, most of us are mortal, and some of us get tired.
So basically, we are operating under our budget, but that budget also includes the efforts of about 8 full-time
equivalents.
equivalents due to volunteer work. Wow.
We reviewed the statistics. We've got a great library. We've got wonderful things going on. Our circulation is in the top 20 in the state. Our collection is getting used. We have a great collection. So we know that we're doing well building a collection. We're doing a good job of circulation, promoting the library resources. We're in the top level for everything, and
Not really.
except for municipal funding.
Right, right, right.
So we would love.
But
I don't know how to talk about it really. I mean, we're pretty far down the totem pole, and I don't know what would be reasonable we have some strides, we've made some strides getting there. We've seen some increases. The 3 years I've been here, we've seen some significant increases, and we're very thankful for those increases.
Increases in staff?
In
or in-
municipal funding.
Yes, absolutely, we have.
And you can't have it all at once, and that's not how government works. What's reasonable and right, I think we're stretched from that. I think if we continue the path, by the time I retire, we should be reaching near the average of municipal funding for the state. So that's what I figured out.
Basically, I know in the last few years, we have been on the bottom 10% of funding.
Yeah, we're still,
Is that still where we stand? That
I didn't-
You haven't run that recently?
I haven't run the report to see how much it's changed in the 3 years, so we only look at it up to 23 because the 24 hasn't happened yet. So the 23 annual report statistics are out on the DPI website, so it's
So, do you think you could get that maybe for next month, something to tell us at least? It doesn't have to be a
see if we
formalized,
changed.
just see if there was a change.
Yeah.
See where we stand in funding, government funding, in comparison to the size of our library, and how much of our, customer base circulation and things like that.
Yeah, I can look at that and.
Or just budget.
I,
No.
no,
That's just my dry humor, please.
It's definitely on my mind, and Brad and I talk about this, and occasionally I feel frustrated, but on the other hand, we've got a lot going on, and we're doing very well with what we've got. But if nobody's funding increases at any rate, I figured we could do it with 12% over 7 years. But that's not realistic. I think we're looking at more about if our funding were to increase on average about 6% in 15 years, we would be close to the average. I don't know if that's true though, because everybody else is getting involved as well. So.
And you have to figure a lot of our funding for programs comes from donations.
Yeah.
Right? So it's not like, there are added things.
Well, and to be fair, other libraries, municipalities sometimes take care of some costs that we pay for.
That, yes.
In addition to, so we get charged certain things for the city to take care of these things. They charge us the hourly rate of the people who are
Are
doing
we
that.
of the libraries, do you know how many other libraries handle the charging that way?
I would say it's probably, I'm guessing, it's all over the board. But I would say at least half of the libraries are paying some fees for something that the municipality is covering for.
Do we get a billing for what they do, so we know that what we're,
Yes.
so that's how
I believe that's in,
It's kind of a odd thing. It's one of those things where the city gives us the money for the services that they provide, kind of.
yeah. And that's a good model, actually. So that doesn't bother me at all, that's how it's set up, because what that does is it takes the actual cost of running the library and applies it to our cost per circulation. And that's how we're reimbursed for the county circulation. So it's really a good model, I believe, for the city to give us the budget amount for the people that we use in the city services. It doesn't, we don't pay for the police department to come here, but we do pay for our accounting, we pay for HR, we pay for building maintenance.
We pay for the services, just like police. As a taxpayer, we kind of, you pay for the service, but you really don't use it much, hopefully.
Hopefully you don't.
But when you have a call to dispatch for something that you need a police or firefighter here for some reason, we're not charged in addition to that. We don't pay
Right.
those guys. Typically, we have gotten a couple threatening letters for our alarms going off for the fire department, but they always say, "Well, don't worry about that," and we move on. So, I think that they're auto-generated, but this is the way things are, and I think it's a good model. I think it's just a matter of.
Well, you got the
that
true cost of running the business.
Yeah, the cost, the per capita support is the number that I look at, and I think that could, we could move up a little bit because we have such a large library, and it takes a lot more to maintain such a large library, and we're seeing that every year as the costs go up to maintain the building.
Right.
And like I said, when you build the building, you don't think about maintenance, because it's 3 to 5 years and nothing goes wrong, hopefully, or it's covered by a warranty of some sort. After that, it starts adding up, and also the cost of heating continues to rise, and
Electricity.
continues to rise, water, those kind of
Health
things.
insurance.
All of it.
All of it.
So,
Okay, so we can move on to.
moving on to number 4 is this is also kind of a staff, and maybe this helps move some staff around, but an automated material handler is the equivalent of 1 full-time position is what I've been reported, or more than the equivalent of 1 full-time position. So that automated material handler is a conveyor belt. You put the books on, it checks it in, and sorts it into certain bins for transit or for different areas of the library.
That would require though space and
Yeah.
setting it up, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
That would be some space. We would put it in the public eye so that people could see the books get sorted, because it's kind of fun to watch books shoot down a conveyor belt.
Awesome, yes.
Program night at the library, watching the books. Oh.
Even better if the kids get to put the book on the conveyor
Well,
belt.
that's true, the kids would like it.
And the other thing about that is, well, first of all, it would be a one-stop place for book drops, so we wouldn't have a fun book drop anymore. They would just come to the desk, put it on the conveyor belt, and it would get checked in. By the time they would want to check out books, everything would be checked in already. So
Would that eliminate the back one then too?
No, we'd still have to move books from the back.
Okay.
So, but the benefit is when people come to the library, they want their stuff checked in right away, so that when they get to the desk with their new pile of materials, they can check out and they don't exceed any of the limits that we have.
There are people that exceed our limits. I mean, we got like a 50 book limit.
Yeah.
Holy cow. Okay.
So the next item on here, and that might also be something that would potentially be fulfilled with flexible facilities grant, not sure. The next item is the inventory wand, which would help us find books, also saving staff time. I don't know if I can quantify that as a partial person, but because it depends on how many books are missing and things out of place. And it still will take time to do that. The next items are adding computers. We don't have YA computers or children's computers. So if any of those groups need a computer at the library, they would be currently required to sit next to adults. Not the best practice, because you don't know what adults are doing on the internet. We don't supervise that very closely, so it would be good to have an alternative. As well off as West Bend is, there are people that still need technology resources. So I think we need to think about adding those computers. Brad and I figured out that we have 3 computers that could go towards this for the YA section. We would add potentially 3 more.
What is the lifespan of our current computers, Brad?
Well, traditional school of thought is 5 years.
Okay. And how-
However, Steve and I are conducting an experiment.
When does it?
Right? Right, it's like, we would like to.
Actually, Steve and I went about 10 rounds on this and we compromised. So what we're going to do is we are going to allow the 12, or actually all 16 machines upstairs to ride out 8 years.
They're
We're going to see how it's going to go.
We're gonna ride out?
Meaning we're going to, instead of 5 years, next year they get all 5 years.
Okay.
We're going to add 3 years onto that.
Okay.
and give it an 8-year limit.
Those middle computers are never used, so those will make it.
Well, we've been watching that too, and our experiment is still formulating on that as well. I
Okay.
don't know why that is.
What will happen, are those computers, what level are they, Windows 10?
They are currently Windows 10, actually some are Windows 11. I'm slowly upgrading them to Windows 11. They are all Windows 11.
Compatible.
So the logic behind this experiment is that the public machines are all, is it Clean Slate? I don't remember which software we use. We have, it's, the public is not writing to the hard drive.
A very small portion.
A small portion, but typically not. It's not high use, it's not like a staff computer that gets a lot more saving, retrieving, deleting, all that stuff. All it is going on the internet, and there's the antivirus, there's the Clean Slate or whatever software we have. So it's, or deep freeze.
It's deep freeze is what takes care of it.
So there's very little wear and tear on the computers. Keyboards are beat up, so the keyboards are cheap to replace. And as it stands right now, we're not seeing a huge demand on memory that isn't satisfied by the current machines that we have.
We have the bare minimum to run Windows 11, and I have approximately half a dozen machines at Windows 11, including one in the main bank of 12. And I asked our staff to check to see if anyone had any problems with that. It was slow and that sort of thing, and we've heard nothing. So I'm continuing on this process. I hope to have it all done by sometime early next year, well ahead of Windows 10 end of life, which is October of 2025. And the reason is just in case something else happens, I want to kind of be ready for it. The other thing is that all those machines upstairs are running solid-state hard drives. So to what Steve said, there are very few moving parts. From some of the literature that I have read on solid-state drives, they say they should last 10 years before they start to fail. And what happens is the reason they fail is because solid-state drives, well, a regular hard drive has a platter on it, so it writes back and forth, so it's got that arm moving around. That's usually the thing that breaks, right? SSDs, as they call the solid-state drives, have these cells. There's these cells that are in there, and you can overwrite them so many times, and then once they're overwritten, however bazillion times it is, then those sectors don't work, and it fails. So we're banking on the idea that 10 years, so if we keep it at 8, we should have 2 years to spare. Okay.
Because we're really not writing on those that much.
Yeah, very, very small. But if we rewrite those same sectors over and over again,
They could fail.
it's a possibility. We'll see.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
The other
I
thing to
understood
note
that.
is that
I did too.
public machines going down, 1 or 2 public machines being down, does not change our library service that much.
Right, right.
So if they fail, it's not a huge issue for us, whereas the staff machines we're still going to maintain at 5 years replacing them, because if they fail, we slow down our work.
Yeah, that makes sense.
6 years. Did I say that?
Do we have something?
you told me 6.
Can't remember.
Okay.
6 years.
Okay.
The next item is Patrons Park, so we've got a couple issues there. The water feature tank failed, so I recommend removing the water feature at some point. And then the grassy areas has a different kind of water feature. It just holds on to water there. We have some money in the Patrons Park Fund, so I have asked for an estimate to do tiling for the grassy areas. I haven't talked about pulling the water feature out yet, but that would require some fill, I imagine. I don't know how deep it is, but we would have to do something there.
And you pull it out, why don't you just
Ignore it?
Yeah. I'm just curious.
Well, we're doing that right now,
Right,
so it's not a
okay.
high priority.
Okay.
It could go.
It's
It would look nicer if we did something else with that, rather than having it set up the way it is. We could do some different landscape there at some point.
Plant the garden.
Okay. And then the last thing I have on this list is the study rooms, which is possible, potentially with flexible facilities grant, which is actually planned with flexible facilities grant if we get it. We have a demand for more study rooms. It's high ticket, I mean, everybody wants a study room. So we do have people that do get kicked out of our study rooms at certain times. The other issue is.
How many study rooms do we have?
Is it six
6?
right now? Technically 5.
Technically 5, but we can
And
shuffle a couple extra maybe.
why the big demand?
I think a lot of it is students, and after school hours, students are using it. Tutors are using it during school hours, and people are coming in to do their office work because they don't have an office anymore, or they're independent contractors or traveling sales, whatever it is. Those are the people who are using it today.
And sometimes we'll have, we have seen an uptick in proctored exams, and a lot of times they have to be in a room with nothing in it, and so this affords that ability as well.
Okay, all right.
Beyond that, I think it'd be good to have just about every service that we have available upstairs, downstairs, because there's people that have mobility issues, and if I had mobility issues, I would not, especially on a day like today, I'd rather not be upstairs when I might be forced to move downstairs at a pretty quick rate, and may or may not have access to the elevator.
Yeah, power goes down.
Okay. Anything else on your?
The last item I'm going to mention, which is a subtraction, potentially, but I do want to have feedback on this at probably the next meeting, or not at the next meeting, you can just talk to me about it. We've been providing hoopla, which people love, and its cost, we're currently budgeted $25,000 for hoopla. Numerous libraries are reducing or eliminating hoopla, and because of the cost that typically hoopla charges per use cost, we have a budget plan that says you can only check out this much in a month of value. Other libraries have reduced the number of checkouts each patron gets, and now we just learned that some of the library systems that provided hoopla are reducing further to 2 checkouts. We're currently offering 5 checkouts for hoopla. The other libraries in Washington County find hoopla cost prohibitive, and I'm considering not keeping it for future years as a show of unity, partially. It's a great resource as far as getting audiobooks, but we also have a Libby and Overdrive, which has ebooks, audiobooks, and other content. So it's a large chunk of our budget for materials is hoopla.
And why are we have the 3 different platforms? Does Hoopla have something specific that other people you can't get on Overdrive and Libby?
The difference between Hoopla and Overdrive and Libby is Hoopla is fast. Everybody gets it right now when they want it. It's
No waiting.
no waiting.
No.
There might be some waiting with some of the extra content that we purchase, but not as much waiting. The thought process is libraries provide free services. Maybe they're not fast services. And Hoopla is definitely a fast service, and it's definitely not free. We pay for Overdrive as well, but it's a state-managed thing.
Okay. If you decide or are actually going to be thinking about cutting it, now I understand you said the other libraries would be cutting it. Would these other customers from those libraries come here?
We have seen some crossover. People who don't have Hoopla come to libraries that do have Hoopla.
See, that could put a burden on ours.
It could put,
There's restriction on that.
there are some restrictions for us.
Okay.
we don't gain anything from that. We just provide service to people who.
So
need service from
if you're gonna come up or to the point where you think you wanna cut it, just let us know and provide us with the pros and cons, right?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Karen, what
I
did
have
you
no
say?
problem with cutting it if it's that expensive, and I'd be looking at other things that we just discussed in your other sheet in the budget for next year.
There's other priorities.
Yeah, there's other priorities, and I want my audiobook now, in 20 seconds from now, or whatever, how, I've never used the book, but
Even with, even if that money were just to go to collections, that would mean we'd have a deeper physical collection that we
Right.
would potentially get reimbursement for circulation time.
That's true, we don't get reimbursed for hoopla.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And so improving our collection would be another use of those fundings.
Well, just keep us informed. Appreciate that. Okay.
All right, that's all I got.
Okay. Library Board President's Report. Nothing for this month. So we will move on to number 7, which was agenda items for consideration. And actually, Steve, you covered that, I think, with this form, correct, pretty much?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. So what we discussed on the handout that Steve gave was actually number 7, items for consideration. So we can move on. Any questions for Steve on any of this or for me? If not, we will move on. Our next regular meeting will be June 18th. Assigned tasks. I know of 3 of
I think
them.
they had some.
I see, if I wrote it down, Brett is gonna look into the audit info report from the city.
Yes, and it's, don't look into,
I
we're
don't
gonna
think it-
see it, but just find out if
When it's
was a
done.
little later and if it changed, because I thought we got that usually in April or May, and now it's June, and I know they're presenting it to the Common Council next month, so just out of curiosity for us.
And then I only have 2 for Steve. Position, a report, position paper about the positions and the staffing needs for the in your 2025 budget, 24-25 budget, for the 25. And then you want to also see where we stand in municipal funding in
Yeah.
regards to other municipalities.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I wrote down.
Anybody else have any other?
Then getting the split of checks.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Missed that one.
Lori doing the checks.
Yeah.
I know why Joe brought that up. 'Cause that's-
Wait a minute.
One less thing on my plate, okay.
So with that, we are adjourned. It is 6:02.